Smoke shop owners, listen up. If your store looks like a garage sale, your customers won't take your product seriously. Presentation is everything, and Display-O-Rama gets it. These guys supply the fixtures that make stores money. Slat walls, showcases, racks, counters, all in stock and ready to ship fast. I've used them myself, and they deliver on time, solid gear, zero headache. Most people think upgrading means expensive. Well, that's wrong. Display-O-Rama makes professional retail affordable, whether you're remodeling one wall or building out your next location. So if you're tired of your shop looking halfway finished, hit DisplayOrama.com up today and get 5% off your order when you use my code ChadWade5 at checkout. Display-O-Rama, real fixtures, real fast, recommended by me, Chad, at ChadWade TV. Every time I see that ad right there, man, I think about how many different times I said half-ass when I was making it, and I should have left it. Looking back at it now, I should have just left it and went on about it and just said, okay, that's the way it is. I said it, I did it, okay. And I wish I had of, but it is what it is. So I see Beth has made it again. And of course, number one there. I appreciate you as always, Beth. You're always the mainstay up in here, man. And I appreciate that. That's awesome. That was a good conversation we had today as well. I learned an extreme amount about that, but I mean, I just don't think that your concept would work just anywhere. I think you have it locked in, but I mean, it was going long before you, but I still believe that you've got a great business up there. I do believe that. I just think you've got such a hybrid business, and that is wow, just wow. And I'm thoroughly impressed. I learned a lot today. I did, and so that's always good. Yeah, it does. I agree. It takes a small town environment, but it also takes somebody with some passion to be involved in that. And so, and you know, I learned something really odd about you today. I won't share that here unless you want to share that. That's on you. And about what you did before this, you know. And I found that very odd, but not really, because I know that every one of us in this industry is from another walk of life. I have met a couple of lawyers that run these and like dumped their business. And then of course now they're kind of in a bad way with it. And they closed up their shop, and I guess they went back to being lawyers. I don't know the answer to that. And I have met all kinds of finance people in this business, insurance people. I even met a guy that was a chiropractor, but he continued the chiropractor. He just wanted to be able to sell some of the Delta and CBD on the side. But then he started adding more and more and more to his business with it. And so it is what it is, you know. And so I meet every walk of life in this business. And that's, you know, when I start thinking the word diversity, for me, diversity is about where we all came from, you know, a black dude, a white dude, and a Mexican dude could all live in the same town. They're going to have probably the same type of experience and type of life. So, but if they're in the middle of nowhere and then they go to the big city, that's probably a culture shock for them, you know, as a group, not necessarily as a race. And so when I start thinking diversity, I start thinking about how diverse our industry really is. And like I said, I have met from every walk of life, and it's kind of like being in the pen all over again. But that's the easiest way for me to say it. And so, but yeah, speaking of which, I ran across this article late in the day, and it just goes to show you that And so it begins. I even posted it on Facebook, that this is happening. And Beth said when we moved back home in 2005, I was told I would get paid more to work at McDonald's than work as a vet tech in the vet tech world. So she's letting you know what she did beforehand. Okay. I walked out of that interview and never walked back in. And here we are today. Well, so far so good, right? And I learned a lot about it, and I think you've got a really good business there. I'm hoping I'm reading it right, but yeah, it looks pretty decent, man. I know you meet some interesting characters. I mean, who needs TV when you got the job you got, And I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed. But like I was saying, man, I started reading this article today, and we're going to share it with you. Looks like 7 is now, they was raiding vapes. Now they're raiding places for 7 product. And this is the FDA is involved in this, and they are very, very serious about it, right? So, the article, Brandon's got here, it's pretty reputable place. So the U.S. FDA, together with U.S. Department of Justice, announced that about 73,000 units of product containing 7-hydroxy were seized from 3 warehouses in Kansas City. Operation focused on products such as liquid shots, tablets marketed as dietary supplements or food additives. That's illegal, by the way, and which contain concentrated 7-O, a substance that binds to opioid receptors and has potent effects. And apparently, the FDA states that 7-O is illegal to include in dietary supplements or food because it was not marketed in the U.S. prior to 1994, October the 15th. That's the deadline cutoff date. And there is inadequate evidence of safety, and it's also not approved for medical use. That's what makes it illegal. So 2 companies in Kansas City, Shaman Botanicals, also known as American Shaman, and I do know that company, and Relief Rejuvenate Trading LLC received warning letters from the FDA, but inspectors found they continued to distribute 7-O products, prompting the seizure. The FDA and DOJ say they seized products posing. Hang on, I got cut off there. Pose risk to consumers, including children, the kids. You know how they do the kids, because of their opioid-like potency and potential for addiction. The FDA is recommending that 7-O be scheduled under the CSA, which is the Controlled Substance Act, and to give regulators more authority to control it as an opioid type substance. So, if you notice, they're not talking so much about vapes anymore, mainly because it looks like they're going to try to hand it back to the flavors. I mean, they're trying to hand them back to the Big Seven to be able to make a limited run on flavors and try to see how they can expand that over a period of time. I have somebody I'm gonna try to talk to about this who tells me that they could probably help walk me through the plan for that, and which I think will be interesting to hear what he's got to say. But we'll see. But apparently, Philip Morris is in line, as well as R.J. Reynolds right now, to get these flavors. And it looks like even Jewel has the possibility of being able to get it because they have an approved product. And it's pretty interesting, if you ask me, how this is going. But I think they're going to try to cut China out. I think that's really what's happening. So it's pretty interesting, just to be honest, and to take it for what it is. Uh, it's going to be a very interesting ride when it gets right down to it, and we're really talking about it. But this 7-O product, it looks like they're coming after very, very hard, and they're paying close attention now to distribution networks because they want to make that the focus. And so reading that article and then following some of the other articles that are with that, and you look into it and you go down the rabbit hole a little bit, it looks like that is about to be a major focus. And so our state has already outlawed it, and a lot of states are doing that state to state already. Uh, but the usual suspects are still selling it, and which causes other problems altogether because the more the police keep seeing it out and about, the more they don't like that. And so that's pretty concerning, you know. And I don't we don't sell that, of course. I don't want to, be in trouble over that because that's scheduled here in Kentucky. And but I don't know how many police are coming in to check on it. But I do know that right after the governor did that, people were hitting my stores wide open looking for it. So I also know that the major distributor around here, uh, they cut that off. And so they got rid of that and got that completely done away with. And so they wasn't selling it here locally to the stores, which probably caused all kind of problems. But that's neither here nor there. But I do think that's going to be focused and going to be something that people are looking into. And don't be involved. Get out. If you're still selling it, just remember, if you're marketing it, you're distributing it, you got an issue. So that would be very, very ugly. But I do have several articles here, so I'm gonna start running right into them right now. And I think let's go ahead and get into the next one, Brandon. I'm gonna go in. This is from MJ Biz Daily, right? And this is entitled "How Cannabis Operators Are Preparing for a Federal Marijuana Reform." Now, I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole with all these this time, so I've got a whole focus about what I want to talk here, and it's mainly to prove to you that intoxicating hemp is on its way out. And one of my last articles will probably prove it to you that it is going to happen. Okay. It says in this summary of this article, it's kind of it explains how the cannabis companies are positioning for possible federal reform and the rescheduling of the marijuana, and why merely rescheduling isn't sufficient. Of course, this is MJ Biz talking. It emphasizes that companies must act now regarding of when the reform happens. All right. Many operators consider this their primary goal is to be treated like normal businesses. Now they're talking about dispensaries. They're not talking about head shops. All right. And they're looking, to be able to bank and do taxes, marketing openly, do marketing, and rather than just legalization. They're looking for normal business operations. And the reason for this is because these are all becoming very, very corporate. Corporate. I'll prove that to you in another article towards the end. And banking and capital access, advertised marketing freedom, that remains a major constraint, even if rescheduling occurs, because you still don't see a whole lot of ads for Percocets and Loratab. You don't see a lot of stuff for that, and that is a Schedule 3. Okay. The article states rescheduling alone will not fix everything. And so they're looking for the big problem. One business, the big business cost burden is taxation under one of the schedules, which prevents standardized business deductions for regulated cannabis enterprises. So they're not able to take purchases of buildings and depreciate out against that business. They're not able to take any kind of like their farms and things that they're growing on. They're not able to depreciate those farms out under regular schedule. And so this is becoming a huge problem for these. And operators are encouraging to build growth plans that work even without full reform. So They're looking that, hey, we can settle for Schedule 3 because that'll give us some opening, but we want this full legalization. In my humble opinion, full legalization is the only way to go here because that's what most Americans want, man. I mean, I think we're seeing the back end of alcohol and and it's vice like grip, and I think marijuana is becoming one of those things where that's what they want. They want that, and they don't want the alcohol high. They don't want any of that stuff. What they honestly want is to get completely out of this and to do nothing but, and I don't think they want so much to smoke blunts and be smoking a joint out in public. I don't think that's what it is. I think they want to be able to take gummies and use that as like a medicine. Now, most people do want to smoke, but not everybody. And they want to be able to just take it but my big fear is that big pharma will get involved and it will become a pill and it'll become down to a tablet, and that's my big fear with this. And so I do fear total legalization, how that will look. I just don't think it's going to look the way most people think. I understand how big corporate thinks because they have to think long-term profits, because especially if they're publicly traded, which we'll get into that, towards the end, and they have to show profits, for their investors and to keep the ball rolling. And in order to do that, you have to be able to have sustainable money. Joint smokers and blunt smokers and buying eighths and buying quarters, that's not going to do it. That's not going to do it. Well, yeah, of course, Beth, you're exactly right. Big Farm loves to put a hand in things and mess things up. Yeah, because they want to put their fingers in everybody's pocket one way or the other. They can't get a doctor to put their finger up your butt. They want to have their finger in your pocket and be pulling it out $100 at a time. And that's concerning. But I really believe we are seeing corporatization of marijuana to the point where they will get in collaboration with big pharma, just like she says. And so when that happens, everything that you think is going to happen with legalization had to go right out the window. And as bad as I hate to say it, it will not be pretty anytime that you have that happen. But I really do believe that it will desperately be different. And again, I don't want that. But when you have these groups, there's these big hemp companies are trying like hell to save their farms, and they're trying like hell to save their THCA flower. Really, it's just weed anyway. And so big pharma can take that over and call it a day. Well, I mean, Beth, there are always going to be a generation of bootleggers. There's still bootleggers in counties selling liquor now. And I mean, it used to be kind of the joke, when I was growing up about the bootlegger. Everybody knew where he was at, and we could go right to him. And if we all knew, the police knew. And I mean, all he sold was pints. He didn't sell fifths or anything, no half pints, all pints. And he sold beer by the six packs, and everybody knew it. But I mean, I think that's the way it kind of is now. In most every town, there's three or four people you can go to buy weed from, and most people know it. And as long as there's no violence involved and they don't, stretch out to cocaine or some, chemical, most time the police just don't care because it doesn't cause any issues. No violence involved, no robbery, no bullshit involved. It's usually not a problem. It's when it becomes a problem is when the violence get involved and all that. But is that going to happen when big industry takes over? Probably not, because it's not going to look the way you think. It's not going to have the Tulsa King dispensary type look. I promise you it's not. I know better. I know it's going to be very corporate looking. It's going to be very Sam's Club pharmacy or Walmart pharmacy or, Costco pharmacy look. It's going to look just like that. You're not going to see what you see here, which is why I think as store owners, we're going to be just fine. We're going to be just fine when this intoxicating hemp goes out the window. I mean, I remember, when we had herbal incense, when we had that, I mean, we made so much money from that. It was ridiculous, ridiculous. I mean, we had money counters going and we had deposit limits. And we couldn't even deposit all the cash. We just could not do it. And so that was stupid, ridiculous, but it was the truth. And I mean, there's going to be the next big thing. There always is. So I mean, to think that the world, the sky is falling, henny penny. If you don't know what that is, Google will tell you. But the sky is not falling, man. It's just changing color. It's just becoming more overcast, maybe. But the sun will come back out. But I honestly believe it's already here. Brandon and I were talking today, and we're looking at mushroom product right now with active ingredient in it. We're not talking psychotropics here, psychedelics. We're talking about stuff that and non-hemp related. So, and they're talking about kanna and kava, and they're talking about ingredients such as that. And it went from 5,000 milligrams to 13,000 milligrams. We're already seeing it. We're already seeing it. And so we're hearing, they're actively discussing this. And so I really don't believe we're going to have a problem. What's going to be the problem is you're not going to have bud bars. You're not going to be able to, weigh out buds and all this. Now, if you want that, I would suggest you just get a dispensary license and go at it. And I realize that's not as easy as I like to say it is. It's not as easy as me just saying it and then you go down to the courthouse and pick it up. I totally understand that. But I mean, you're going to need the bond. You're going to need some insurance. You're going to need to have a place that you can do this at. That's going to have to be approved. And then, of course, the DEA is going to show up and let you fill out all your paperwork with them. So if the next administration that comes in decides that they don't want that, the DEA's already got your paperwork. And of course, that's not what anybody wants to hear either, but it's very, very true. Very, very true. By the way, I'm drinking coffee. I'm really gotten away from the liquor. So I don't want you to think I got a big glass of bourbon here because it's just not true. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. This is from what is this? The AP, Brandon? Yeah, the AP. What a federal ban on THC will look like and could mean for the hemp industry. And of course, we already know. I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse with this. It describes how a recently passed federal legislation provision will ban many hemp-derived intoxicating products, drinks, snacks, edibles by November of 26, and how the hemp industry valued at $24 billion. Just remember, the federal government throwed $24 billion industry in the toilet and flushed it. Why? Why'd they do that? Mainly because marijuana is going to take its place. And it's going to be bigger. And it's going to be something that more people want. And I think they know that. Okay. So they're talking about this and they go in and they tell you about 2018 Farm Bill. Of course, we already know that. And the new law closes this loophole that had that on here. And the ban impacts beverages, edibles from hemp-derived THC, many sold in convenience store, gas stations, and often accessible to minors. There's the problem. You packaged it, marketed it to the children. You did. And I know what you're going to say. Well, it's okay, to have cartoon characters, this, cartoon character, that. Well, the kids look at it. They're just children. That's what they do. And then, of course, you've got all these kids vaping in public, not vaping at school, having, vapes, and the school doesn't want the vapes in there. Then they find out they're THC. And then they bring, because as you're seeing it on here, that looks just like something you would find like a Jones soda type deal right there, and you're seeing it as pink burst and orange burst. And, they don't know that that's not soft drinks. They don't know this. And they're bringing it into school. It really was happening. These articles will tell you all about it. Industry voices warn of job losses, tax revenue losses, business disruption. Oh, yeah, that is definitely going to happen. A lot of people that I know are going to be terribly impacted from it. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And states with adult use regulation cannabis may still allow some products, but interstate commerce, e-commerce, and national distribution will be restricted. So what that means is, just like marijuana prohibition, here we'll have intoxicating hemp prohibition. How they worked around that is that the states were allowed to do it on their own, but everything had to be grown in the state, refined in the state, produced in the state, distributed in state. I don't know how they're going to do that. I really don't. And I don't know how you can lawfully do that. I don't know, because I mean, you got to think of a company like, I don't know, we have a brand called Smacked. Can that company continue to distribute whatever DeSantis says down in Florida and distribute only their product in that state with all those other companies that are there doing it? Because I believe totally they're getting their distillate or wherever from somewhere else. They don't have a hemp farm, and they're not producing their hemp. And where's that coming from? If that's coming out of state, that's going to be illegal as fuck. It's going to be illegal to bring that in and do that. So that's going to be a problem. I don't think Texas can pull that off. I don't think anybody can pull that off and be legitimately profitable. I think that'll be an uphill climb. On the other hand, I do believe that if you Schedule 3 marijuana, you would be able to ship that across state lines. And I think you're opening up a whole new market for that. Now, will you be able to send flour across the state line by truck, in VW buses? No, that'd be bootlegging. That'd be all kind of bullshit that go along with that. And that'll cause all kind of problems, as far as that goes. But I mean, would UPS, would, freight carriers be able to move that? I mean, how do you think Lortab gets moved from one end of the country to the other? How do you think, diazepam gets moved from one part of the country to the other? I mean, it's not being produced right there in the state, probably. If it is, okay. I mean, hell, oxys is everywhere, and they had to be sent somehow, transported somehow. And no, I do not know. Are there enough spaces for these farms in every state? That's what Beth's asking. More importantly, there's what, 7 months out of the year for crop growing, maybe in Ohio, maybe 7 months. And I mean, you could pull 2 crops a year, of hemp, if, maybe 3 indoors. But I mean, you got to have enough room to do that at. So, well, I mean, Beth, the market opens up even more than that. There may not just need to be brinks. There may need to be daydreams, night things. I mean, maybe those people could transport it. Maybe UNS could transport it, and I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, and you're right, maybe indoors. You're exactly right. As far as the hemp goes, or as far as the marijuana goes, I had talked with a guy who was in Detroit, and he was talking about these buildings that were completely gutted out, and that they were planning on using the 6 layers of the floor space for it. They were going to retrofit all of the electrical for it, and to make it a viable place to be able to grow marijuana indoors at different levels. And of course, they was going to have to fix the elevator and all this, and he was going to have to get that thing in there, and he's going to have to gut that completely. And the building had been completely burnt out, and so there was a lot of concrete to it, but it kind of panned out for him. So as far as I know, that plan moved forward. I don't know anything else about it. I'd like to be able to talk to them, maybe even bring them on alive so they could talk about that. I do know they're still in business. I do know they're still in business, and I think it's a pretty interesting thought. And so maybe, and I mean, how many buildings in Cincinnati or Cleveland, well, Cleveland, sorry, or Columbus in Ohio is like that? I know there's a tremendous amount of buildings in Louisville, Kentucky, and there's several business buildings in Lexington that I know of. But I mean, they're pretty easy to construct. There are 1,500 or so hemp growers and dispensaries popping up all over in North Carolina. Would they just go out of business? It would take them more than a year to just file for bankruptcy. Well, if we keep it real, um, they would probably go into default over their loans if they have them, and the bank would help them move forward. Look into the bankruptcy laws. Bankruptcy is not as easy as you think. You don't just walk away from business debt. You may walk away from personal debt, but business debt gets restructured and you get a payment plan. So when you look into this a little closer, filing bankruptcy on a business is kind of weird, especially if you owe institutions backed by the federal government, which is what banks are. So if you took out an SBA loan for a farm, you took out a farm loan, especially, God help you, you are going to pay that back whether you like it or not, because they're going to put a lien on your home. They could even put a lien on your IRAs, Social Security, retirement funds. They could put all this on it. And if you check out before you pay that debt off, they may liquidate everything else you have. That's the facts. Look into it. It's not as easy as just flushing a commode and a turd goes down. It's not that simple. And we would all like to believe that, but we have learned about personal debt, not business debt. But anything that's backed up by the federal government, they're going to restructure that in federal bankruptcy court, and you are going to pay it. And one way or the other, even if it's $50 a day, you are going to pay it. And you may not have to pay it all, but whatever is not backed up by the federal government, you can write that off. But if it's backed up by the feds, nope. And you know what the word FDIC is, right? That's a federal insurance thing for your loans, and banks are backed up by the feds. So filing bankruptcy, nope, you ain't getting out of that. Now, if you have it personally, might be able to pull that off, but I don't think so. I don't think so. But that's a good question. I'll look into that. But 1,500 hemp growers, good God. And just, I mean, like I said, 24 billion, they flushed down the commode over this. Brandon, let's move to the next one. I think this comes from Women's Health. Yeah. So this is about the again about the ban that targets hemp derived highs, and this piece examines how the new legislation will enforce a zero point 0.4 milligram THC per container cap for hemp derived products. I mean, basically that ain't shit. That's nothing. It's going to be nothing. And under that, I mean, you're not products that look like normal sleep gummies. THC seltzers are now might exceed the new zero point 0.4 milligram THC cap per package, not per unit, per package. All right. And many popular formulations will not comply. The change is part of the government funding bill and it reflects concern about intoxicating hemp products being accessible to minors. So you made them look this way. What did you think was going to happen? They were going to start screaming, oh, the kids are getting them and they're getting high. Yeah. I mean, you know how I feel about that. While industry hemp, which is fiber and grain, is unaffected, the consumer wellness edible category, I don't know how it's wellness to be honest, is directly threatened. Okay. Um, I mean, for a business like us, we are already starting to scale down THC products. We are already pumping up the Blue Lotus, the functional mushrooms, all of that stuff. And Mad Honey stuff. We are really ramping up that right now. So if you're thinking by the end of this, you probably will be thinking because I'm going to show you empirical evidence that it's happening. Okay. And I've really gone down the rabbit hole on this, to be honest. And I mean, you should start shifting gears. And could hemp come back? I don't know. Legislation says maybe. I mean, because we've watched them, go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I mean, it could at some point they say, well, hey, let's look at this again. But by that time, marijuana will already be legal and big pharma will already be into it, and your doctor will already be prescribing it. So all these people that are setting up businesses of getting you medical cards are about to be taking it just like this because you won't need a medical card very soon. And that'll all be a huge waste of money. And then these businesses too will close up because after your doctor can legally write scripts for it, you won't need that. But once they can legally write scripts for it, insurance will cover it as well. But I'm gonna prove that to you in just a minute. And so it's it's a rabbit hole, but it's a money hole, is what it is, and it's a money grab in a different way. But I truthfully believe that they are going to do whatever they can to get the taxes off of this in every way. I truly believe that. And so I think this is a money grab is ultimately what we got going on here. And so I'm just saying, if you've always followed the money, you will always know the real corporate. And there's plenty of them because there's a lot of publicly traded companies now that are kind of involved, and you're slowly watching their stock rise slowly, much like people did Apple and Microsoft, because they bet on them when the government started talking about them. And now the government's kind of talking. The industry rags are starting to talk about them. Apparently, MJ BizCon is going on right now, and there's a lot of conversation there about, and I just talked today about it because it is going on right now. And they said that the talk of intoxicating hemp was out the door. And all they was talking about was marijuana, when they wanted, some of them wanted it to be the focus on hemp. And that's not how it is. They did not want to hear that. Okay. Brandon, move to the next one, that Houston Chronicles. So this is from the Houston Chronicle. It's a Texas industry focus. It's a year out from national THC ban. Texas hemp industry is already feeling the effects. And this is really just focused on Texas. This article shows how the looming federal ban is already disrupting business planning, investment, banking, distributor interest, and causing some hemp operations to considering halting. Stop. Texas, which is an $8 billion hemp industry, which is a lot of fucking money. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. That's a lot of money. All right. And it's feeling the pressure. Investors are pulling back. Distributors are pausing deals. Banking relationships are freezing. And they are literally, banks are closing hemp people's accounts. This is really happening. But I'm seeing that across the country. It's not just Texas. Some businesses had just won a state level battle blocking a state ban and now faces a federal rollback, which is demoralizing the smaller players. The article emphasizes the damage is not just hypothetical. Operations are delaying expansion, scaling back dramatically. Cultivation is scaling back as well and switching to other crops on their farms, which could be what has to happen to the North Carolina bunch as well that he was talking about earlier. Although these operations about that may not be hemp cultivation in Texas, this illustrates the ripple effect. The supply chain, the banking distribution is becoming risk zones, and that we should evaluate our own supply chain risks. So, and how it might impact your wholesale and retail networks. And that don't sound good, ladies and gentlemen, because this is really talking it through. And they are very concerned that the banks are already retracting. They're already calling in notes. They're talking about lines of credit that they want scaled back, they want paid off. And then, which also goes back to an earlier comment that was made about the 1,500 North Carolina farmers right there. And that goes back to that comment. If that bank says, we want that money, how do they pay? It's slow and steady. That's how they'll pay. And so that goes back to his question. It take more than a year to file bankruptcy. Well, the bank will mitigate their issues with them and will just cut their lines of credit off, which means they won't be able to pay their payroll. They won't be able to pay their bank note. They won't be able to do anything if they can't produce product. So he's very, very right there. That would create a huge, huge problem. But in the big picture, the feds don't worry about 1,500 farmers or their families or the business or the people that it affects. They're worried about the country and how to pull in more. Maybe, though, with legalization, they may be able to open up some more avenues for these people where, especially in the banking industry, where they would allow these people to start growing marijuana, because hemp's just the poor cousin of marijuana if we keep it real. So, which brings me now to the article that I have been waiting to share. So, Brandon, pull up this next one from Seeking Alpha. Curaleaf. Whether you know about it, this is a stock thing here. This is an opinion piece now, mind you. This is not written in stone, but this is a pretty smart joker that is writing this. And I get updates. And when I saw this today, I knew instantly this had something to talk about. This is from an analyst that's reading this as a pure analytical stock. He's just analyzing stock at this point. And this piece argues that Curaleaf, a large cannabis operator, stands to benefit from the impending federal hemp-derived ban. because reduced competition in the hemp space could shift market share and margin potential to the regulated cannabis players. So dig it. If institutional money can be put to these people, means more tax money could be paid from these companies to fund the federal debt or anything else that they want to fund, such as SNAP benefits or the impending doom of Obamacare with their subsidies. And how do you do that? You have to have more funding, more funding. And it says here the ban on derived THC products effectively limits a large consumer oriented market. And apparently, Curaleaf has a plan to infiltrate that and to fulfill that need through their operation. So the article suggests that the current pricing margin comparison in cannabis may ease if hemp competition drops, benefiting vertically integrated operations. All right. From a risk perspective, companies able to navigate regulatory change and have strong compliance and back office operations have the advantage. Think about that. So they're talking about vertically integrated businesses, which the hemp industry does not do because they're usually sectioned out where there's a grower, there's a processor, there's the people who make the gummies and then who distribute it. And then if it's just for the farmers, and then the farmer has a market that they sell it to, it's not vertical integration. Okay. Uh, these folks are literally telling you that big money is funneling into these companies like Curaleaf, and that the stock is literally going up because they aim to take aim at the hemp industry through legislation and to keep that gone. Now, this was backed up today from communication from MJ BizCon that there was plenty of people there talking about the big name players in marijuana were there discussing how they would feel the need of everything that's here. Now, for us shop owners, how does that help us? I got a lot of glass. I got a lot of grinders. The vape industry did not go away. The other products that we sell did not go away. I just know that when my business was selling glass and grinders and traditional smoke shop products, we had a pretty decent business. We had a pretty decent business. It's when we started adding all the add-ons. We're also seeing a surge in kratom sales. We're seeing a surge in all the other products as well. And this is just kind of one of those things where the wave is happening, y'all. The wave is happening, and we have already crested. They once again, the greed in the industry has taken over, and it started getting marketed the wrong way. It started looking the wrong way, and so when that happened, y'all, we get what we have here today, which is like a bunch of monkeys with a football bat, and that's what we've got. And now they're going to spank us and take it from us, and mainly because people outside, really outside of the industry, got involved and sucked the life out of it. So, I mean, CBD was a good thing. It was a great thing, and it worked for a lot of people. The salves and things I know work really well for people, especially myself, my knees and my elbows and shoulders. And so I know that works well. Our problem was these people that came in just like this damn 7.0 product and adulterated a really good product and exploited a loophole and drove a truck right through it. And Mr. Singh said, might be good to look into which politicians are purchasing farmland and why. I can't deny that, man. That sounds like sound evident. But on the other hand, why aren't we purchasing farmland and waiting for them to come and buy it? I mean, yeah, hello. I mean, I don't know about you all, but really look into Rand Paul's holdings as well. He's from Kentucky. And now Massey, on the other hand, doesn't own a bunch of farmland, but Rand does. Hell, look at who his father is. Then you'll know all you need to know. And so I know that everybody here in Kentucky believes that Rand is going to save the day when it comes to hemp, but it's a false flag, y'all. It ain't the truth. It's all fake. I mean, he stood up there and acted like he was saving jobs and all this. If you work on a farm and you're growing hemp today, if they legalized marijuana and allowed you to grow corporately, you would still have the job, if not making more. I can't tell me different. Now, would you own it? Would you own your brand and everything? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, can you afford to put up that kind of money? Can you afford to deal with it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that at all. But what I do know is you still have a job. You still have plenty to do. There's still plenty of things out there to do within our industry, especially if marijuana goes legal. And I mean, are you going to have as much fun doing it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't grow hemp, so I don't know. I just know that it's not what marijuana is. I know that. And I do think that you're going to see some transitional problems here, but you are going to see transition. But I'm following the money. And my bet, as terrible as it probably sounds, is that Tosca and hemp's gone because Wall Street's already dictating that. And the money coming into these companies are getting bigger and bigger. It's not just Curaleaf. It's not. There's a lot of them that's involved that is making strides and their stock is rising. And I would say by June, July, a lot of these will be double. So if you're looking for a stock pick, I'm calling the ball on that. I'm telling you what's up. That's going to happen. That is going to happen. Everybody made fun of me for Sirius satellite radio at 39 cents or 17 cents. What think now? It rises and falls. So it is what it is. But I mean, I remember when everybody told me that nobody would shop online and have stuff delivered to their house either, and that they would always go to Walmart. I remember that. I remember that very, very well. That's how old I am. And I remember that. And now I think something from Amazon shows up at my house every couple of 2 or 3 days. And I mean, we can literally have things come in from Kroger, that can be delivered right to your front door. You don't even have to go to the grocery store anymore. I remember all that. I remember when nobody thought that'd be funny. That won't be cool, man. Ain't nobody doing that. What other ticker symbols should we be watching? You know what? Check out Chad Wade TV tomorrow, and I will list every one of them that I saw an article for. I don't have the article right here, but I have it. And they were showing the 30 and 40% growth since the vote. 30 and 40%. Holy shit, that's a lot of money. So I mean, they are actively talking about that. So, apparently I'm starting to freeze up. But anyway, I will let you know. I will send that out there, and I'll get that to you. Check Chad Wade TV tomorrow on Facebook, and I'll put that out there for you guys. Chill Bites. I'm opening my first storefront, signed a lease, and begin January the 1st. Woo! Way to go, man. Appreciate that. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I am, man. Uh, I've got a right to terminate clause, and well, that's exactly what I said do. But they are going to change, my friend. They are going to change, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as you think, man. Especially if you're just opening. You know, I really hate to think that you're going to be in business and then just pull the plug. Then I would already start thinking along that lines right now. Um, Maybe hit me up tomorrow over at unswholesale.com. Sign up. There's a lot of alternatives over there that's not hemp that we are selling every single day. And I'd be glad to work with you. Brandon could be your rep. I could be your rep. Grover could be your rep. We have a huge combined time in the industry. And so we've seen a lot of come and goes. Okay. Uh, Beth says it's the end of the year. Got to top off that retirement account. Well, I'll take care of that for you tomorrow. I will give you a list of those people, and that would really help you. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is too, because I'm going to move money into a lot of these stocks. So I know I'm right. I know I'm not going to tell you all something I wouldn't invest in, but I like to be analytical when it comes to stocks. But the math does not add. I had a former associate tell us that, and if the math always adds, it's got to be right. But yeah, man, hit me up tomorrow or something, and let's get together and kind of strategize what I can do to help you. Should you need cases, of course, I've got somebody to do cases for you as well. Chill says we own all of our hemp products in line, but we surely need the products like tobacco and vapes and such. Well, hey, I got you, bro. I got you. I got you for all that, man. I got a tremendous amount of glass. I got a tremendous amount of grinders, and we can help you out with all that, and we can put you together a good package to get you started. I don't know how big your store is, but we can discuss that if you hit me up tomorrow, and I would be glad to help you. Thanks, Beth, for the recommendation there as well. Appreciate that. But I think I'm going to make you enough money in that retirement account where you're going to be very pleased that you were here tonight. But I promise you that it's going down. It really is. And it's something. It is really something. So if you had some money you need to move into that, we can do that for you. I'm telling you, tomorrow on Chadway TV. And yeah, yeah, he should really hit that Discord. Brandon, put that Discord meet up on here, the link for it. And Chill, get involved in that as well. It's free to join. Come on in and talk to us and hang out. There's a lot of information there, and there's a whole lot to look into. Chill said, "Yeah, we'll do. Maybe I'll buy from you, and you can also store some of our products." Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, if you got it, we're in 2 warehouses in Houston and 40 stores. Good God, bro, that's a lot. You must have a whole lot of product. You got to get that shit moved. Yeah, hit me up tomorrow, man. I'd be glad to talk to you about it. See what you got, and see what you're working with there, man. I'd be glad to speak with you about it. All right, guys. So we're there at an hour, man. We're here. I thank you, everybody, for coming. Beth, as usual, number one fan. Appreciate you. I can't believe Tip Top didn't show up. Maybe he was listening in and didn't say anything. Chillabite, I appreciate you, man. Mr. Singh, I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate everybody for coming, and it means a lot to me that you give me the time and come on in and discuss things with us. If you need us for anything, hit us up, unswholesale.com. Also, hey, y'all, don't forget, I got this book. Love to sell it to you. Get that on Amazon. Should you want a little something to read on the toilet, always fun to read. Okay. All right, everybody. So that's going to be about it. And This could accidentally be the last live of the year because I am going out of the country for a minute, and we've got some things going on in Mexico. We're going to take a little time down there, and of course, when we come back, by then, could be Christmassy, and y'all will be busy as hell. And so this could be the last, maybe not. We'll see what happens, and we'll try to figure it out. And then, of course, Christmas is going to land. Let's see, what day does Christmas land on? Hang on, I can't see. Well, great. Still can't see. Oh, yeah. Christmas lands on the 25th. And of course, we'll be gone before then. Maybe we do it a day or two before. I don't know. But you guys are going to be busy in the stores. So we'll see what happens there as far as that goes. One way or the other, we'll figure it out. Uh, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll work it out. But look, get online tomorrow on Facebook, chadwaytv.com, and check me out over there. And I'll put those ticker symbols for you. I'll also probably drop it in the Discord as well because I like for everybody there to be a little more educated with it. And but this is interesting, y'all. Follow the money, and you'll always get your answers. That's what I got to say. All right, y'all. Love you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great week. Finish out strong. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you next time. Bye.